We have all been patiently waiting 11 years for a title from our most beloved franchise to be worthy of the name Halo. Between Bungie leaving Xbox exclusivity and 343 taking over, there has not been one release in the franchise without controversy, and this is not without good reason. It's largely due to the greed, questionable ethics of 343, as well as the unwanted and unnecessary overhauls of game design in Halo. Not to mention the dumpster fire that was the Master Chief Collection. Now we arrive here in the last corner of 2021 with our first real glimpse at the new title in the amazing franchise Halo, with the title Halo Infinite. While we have only seen the multiplayer in any depth, it has already relit that blazing fire in the hearts of millions of fans that want to see more of the universe of Covenant and Humans and Forerunner, and even the dreaded Flood. On the 20th anniversary of both Xbox and the IP as well, nonetheless. Sure, it did take over 10 years for anything to come from 343 we're talking about, but for better or worse, we are here. And despite my personal feelings of discontent towards 343, I really am still a huge Halo fan, and I always will be. I'm not gonna lie though, Halo Infinite at first glance gave me goosebumps. Seeing that splash screen and hearing the new yet familiar sounds and music made me feel nostalgic and hopeful in the best way. It reminded me of when I booted up Halo Combat Evolved for the first time 20 years ago. Then I saw the new Zeta Halo top-down graphic as a screen transition, followed by the epic and familiar chant that was seared into our auditory memory 20 years ago with the original Halo 1 theme. And it was almost tear-inducing to see such a beautiful thing. But after this, I quickly remembered who I was dealing with here. 343, and all of their previous shortcomings brought me back to reality, and I was able to look at it critically again and determine whether Halo Infinite is truly worth the Halo name. Which brings us to the armor hall. So, although I was still drunk off of the well-done intro, I was immediately crushed when I tried to customize my Spartan for the first time. I know, didn't 343 say they made the customization reach style? Yeah, they did. And it is much better than 4 and 5, but that's not saying much, and it's still pretty bad. With reach style in the back of my mind, I was thinking I would be able to choose the colors of my armor pieces and customize my player card and emblem. But to my dismay, there were only pre-packaged skins called armor coatings and cores, and there were palettes of coloring you could choose from that were pre-packaged, almost like they were perfectly made for an in-game store and microtransactions. And that hits the nail on the head. But we'll get back to that. I'll give 343 credit where it's due. The armors look fantastic. Like, they finally feel like Halo again. They are clean, and they remind me of Halo in the best ways. After community backlash from the cartoony graphics that were previously showcased by 343, they actually did make some changes, and I'll give them that much. But this is easily overshadowed by the fact that they are just skins, almost like Halo is just becoming another free-to-play title like Fortnite or PUBG. You can't really make the armor your own, not in a true sense of the word. Gone are the days of uniqueness and showing off your personality and style. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. I know that may seem a bit dramatic, but if anybody's been following games lately, that's really the way we're going, sadly. And don't even get me started with the new samurai armor for the upcoming Tenrai event. Sure, it looks really cool, but it does not belong in Halo, like, at all. It is the most immersion-breaking and silly take on Halo's Spartan armor I have ever seen. Halo's distinct style, or flavor if you will, is a futuristic take on military industrialism and utilitarianism. This armor is not lore-friendly, and even though I personally think it looks really cool, it just breaks the image of Halo for me, and I can't really look past it. Sure, Hayabusa armor existed in Halo 3, but it was done tastefully and with respect to the art style of the Halo universe, and you could customize it. It looked good with other pieces of armor, so don't argue that with me. This isn't really the same. It might be nitpicky, but it all adds up. All the armor does look wonderful, and you technically can customize it, but in the most cookie-cutter sense. On top of that, it's almost entirely locked behind a season pass system that is paywalled and riddled with the forced microtransactions thanks to the broken challenge-only progression system, which I will cover later on in the video. The shop is also absolutely laughable in the sense that the first thing you're greeted with when you open it up is an offer for a skin or armor core that is $20 USD. That is twice the cost of the Battle Pass itself. And even though it's one of the coolest skins, Regardless of how good you are at playing and how much time you play, you will never have it unless you dish out $20 for it. And that's the only thing you get, because it is only sold in the store. That leads us to our next part. The takeover of Halo, competitive and ranked by HCS. Like, you can customize your Spartan even more, but you're going to pay $10 more for each armor core. And these are just for your favorite HCS teams. They get the best pellets, the coolest looking armor, but you can't wear it unless you represent their team and pay for it. And by the way, you can't even customize the armor cores you buy. They are locked into a single configuration, so you can't change the emblem, you can't change the colors, or a single piece of armor. It is stuck that way. You unlocked a cool visor with the Battle Pass and you want to put it on a different piece of armor? Well, regardless of whether you paid for it or not, you can't, because you unlock parts of armor that are specific to an armor core. You have a cool color for one armor core, well, unless you unlock it for the other armor core as well, it's not going on that helmet. You're going to have to wait till they either release it in a Battle Pass or it's in the store so you can buy yet another thing that you want to customize your Spartan with, even though you unlocked it. But Hyper, can't you customize your guns and your weapons more in depth now? And your vehicles too? And yeah, you can. And it's cool, and the armory and the vehicle bay are really welcome additions to the game. Don't let it fool you. No love went into the creation of these mechanics at all. They are almost an exact ripoff of Call of Duty's system for customization with the charms and emblems and the skins. All of which are, you guessed it, behind a paywall and a horribly broken progression system still. And I'll admit, they have done some work to make the progression system a little bit better, but it still is completely awful. So don't let that fool you either. And when everyone's so-called customized loadout is all the same pellets and coatings, is it really even custom or unique anymore if you're just buying the same thing somebody else does? I bought that HCS armor just to experiment how much I would see it in game, and every game somebody else has the same exact piece of armor, while I still can't customize mine to make it my own. Sure, you have an AI now, you could customize that. You can change the voice types of your Spartan from a variety of voices you could choose from, and you can add a prosthetic to pretty much every limb on your body. And those are cool, those are nice little touches, but no one really asked or pushed for them, and honestly, they don't really add anything to the gameplay. And honestly, due to the new outline system, it's kind of hard to see anyways. So, unless you see it in the intro cinematic to each match, it's not really worth it. I think the idea is cool personally, but I think the efforts could have been used in a much better way somewhere else in the game. You know, like fixing the servers and the multiplayer lobby and fire team system. As far as the servers go, they're a mess. I would go as far as to say, as more often than not, when trying to join a lobby and play with friends, I get the forever transitioning error and I cannot connect. And a lot of people are experiencing this too. Literally, about 50% of the time, I have to restart the game or the system several times until it finally works. They already admitted that this is on their end too, so it's not on your end. Don't worry about that. The other issue is the game is refusing to connect to the servers even though your internet connection is perfectly fine. Another nitpick, it's not huge, technically it still is a beta, but considering the game comes out in a matter of just a few weeks, I don't know if that really bodes well for the release. Almost 100% of the time, you will not be in the same fire team as the person you're in a lobby with. So say you join your friend's fire team and you start searching matchmaking together. Once you join a game, you're on a big team or something with larger than 4 people, you're not going to be on the same fire team. I have not been on the same fire team as my friends once, and we're playing with exactly 4 people. So that's really annoying. You can play with your friends, but you can't really play with your friends. And considering the names are different colors and stuff, and your fire team's highlighted, it makes it kind of frustrating to call out and work together.
You have lost connection to the game server. What the fuck?
So don't expect to be really playing with friends in your fire team anytime soon. And on to the gameplay. I'll tell you right now, the gameplay, it's phenomenal. I'll cover that in the good video, which is the second part of the series. So let's get on to the other bad parts of the multiplayer. So even though it's great, there's a lot of things that stand out. And one part is most of the dialogue you would hear from the Halo announcer is now replaced by your AI. And it's not necessarily for the better. Not that the AIs aren't cool, they're pretty annoying. And hearing them talk about everything all the time can just get really old really quickly. The AI are a cool feature, but they're annoying most of the time and honestly super distracting when they're at their worst. At best, they can be funny, but in ranked matches, I found the AIs, and I tested all of them, they were really pushing my tempo. The least intrusive experience would have to be the Butler AI. He had the smoothest sounding voice, and he wasn't really annoying, but he looks pretty stupid. So if aesthetics are a factor, you might reconsider. A well-mannered doorstop doesn't really fit the badass Spartan aesthetic in my eyes, but to each their own. And for the other end of the spectrum, there's the AI Cirque. Even though Cirque has a cool model, or at least better than the British cheese wedge, she is by far the most annoying. I was using her for a while, and I just wanted her to shut up in so many matches. Like, the laugh is annoying, the way she says and inflects things is annoying, and I was really done with it really quick. So, let's go on to the other stuff besides the AIs, because they'll talk your ear off, and you can see that for yourself pretty soon. In classic 343 fashion, instead of making something for their own and keeping with the IP that was already made for them, they decided to take the horrible mechanics of scope glints from Call of Duty and putting those in Halo, which is the worst idea I've ever heard of. Never mind the fact that in 2021, there are very, very easy ways to negate scope glint in the actual military, and Halo takes place several centuries in the future. That's irrelevant. If you're using a scope weapon in Infinite, your position will be broadcast to everyone. Gone are the days of you sniping and staying hidden until you fire your first round and the bullet trail is seen by the enemies after you fire. And gone are the days of Halo having some of the coolest sniping mechanics in any game. That uniqueness is what made me love sniping in Halo. It's now a battle royale where the sniper is pretty pointless because everybody knows you have it, and they're gonna know, hey, I'm not gonna peek over there, or I'm gonna avoid that. And if somebody else has a sniper, I'm like, hey, look, that guy's over there. I'm just not gonna aim down sight, and I'm gonna shoot him in the face with some other weapon. It's really annoying. Halo had some of the best sniper gameplay, and it's all gone now thanks to this really pointless and stupid addition to Halo that was unnecessarily added, and it doesn't really bring anything of substance to the game. It really is a step backwards in my opinion. And it's not just the sniper rifle, it's pretty much every scoped weapon, so just have fun with that. You're gonna get really pissed off by it because the scope glint is just ridiculous. Oh yeah, and it's so huge that it covers up the face and stuff of a Spartan that's really far away, so it just makes it a pain in the ass. This mechanic needs to be removed from Infinite, and the old bullet trail needs to be brought back because this is a signature of Halo, and this just killed it and made it awful, and I hate it. This brings me to the shotgun. There are a lot of cool guns, and one of our favorite staples in the series has been nerfed into complete garbage. I'm talking about the Bulldog, which is the name of the new shotgun in Infinite. This thing is horrible. Forget about playing SWAT guns ever again and achieving a bull true against somebody with a sword because it's not going to happen with this thing. It needs 2 shots even at very close range to your target, and that's just me testing in game. I haven't really done any in-depth testing, but it's enough for me, somebody who's been playing Halo for 20 years, to notice that it is complete garbage compared to every rendition of the shotgun up until now. You know, shotgun was one of my favorite weapons of all time, and this is just a joke. You might as well be using the bug assault meant for shooting houseflies. It's literally that bad. And it has greater range, but the stopping power is non-existent. So if you like playing with a shotgun in Halo, you're not going to like Infinite. Now the next thing is the rocket launcher. This is one of the biggest staples for the series, the Spanker rocket launchers, SPNKR. Finally, they're calling it that. I remember reading that in the guide of Halo way back in the day, and this is the first time I'm actually hearing it in-game, so that's kind of cool. But it's been nerfed as well. The rockets travel even slower now, and you can easily just jump out of the way or run away if the assailant is not like in the same room or hallway as you. It's a good weapon to use, and it's still fun, and it still is like a one-hit kill if you get close, but the projectiles are so slow. And the reload is slow. Like, it has an animation when you pick it up before you can fire it. It has an animation when you switch weapons, and the reload is slower. So it's just really a pain in the ass, and it's not as fun as it used to be. Still a good tier weapon, but it's just not the rocket launcher you're used to, and it just was, again, unnecessary. And the BR, battle rifle, for my last gripe, it feels odd. The rate of fire feels like it's ever so slightly dropped enough for the burst to drift while you're moving your sight picture around. This means, like, when you're aiming and you're moving your crosshairs, the bullets are going to drift more than they did in previous games. And I've noticed that this is falling a lot more short than they previously did. So it's a really good weapon still. It still does its job. I'm a SWAT veteran from Halo. I played SWAT all the time, so I notice it very easily. But it's not horrible. It is enough for me to ditch the battle rifle for the commando if I can, which is more often than not. So the battle rifle just kind of feels like it's thrown in there to, you know, like, please the fan base, but it's not as good as it used to be because of that reason. And as for the other features, They're pretty awesome. I love the gameplay. I'm having a blast playing with friends. It feels like Halo in all the best ways. If you're a Halo fan, you're gonna love Infinite. But the only sad part is the terrible Battle Pass and progression. And it's so bad, it completely negates all of the good that 343 did with the gameplay. It's really horrible. I had to play at least 6 hours every single day for the past 7 days to get the Ultimate Challenge done. That's at least 42 hours, which is insane, especially when you're, paying to even have a chance to complete the challenges because you have to buy the Battle Pass. So you're paying twice to even maybe get these challenges done. And I was doing well. I was finishing top fragging, MVP most of the games I played in every game type. I'm pretty good. I've been playing Halo for 20 years, so I'm confident to say that it's not my personal ability that's holding me back from progressing. After the first 2 entire days, I was barely at level 2 of the Battle Pass, which is crazy. They did modify it later in the week because there was a huge backlash. Now, instead of giving you 0 XP per game completed, you just get 50 out of 1,000. So it's still a crawl, and the challenges still lock you to certain game types. So you're still getting 50 XP. That's really great, but say you want to play ranked. Well, you're not going to be completing challenges unless you get lucky enough to get the specific game type and map to complete your challenge. So it's still a crawl. It's awful and it's broken. And unless you want to pay for a swap to get another challenge that might be even worse and then swap that out yet again, you're kind of screwed. Say you want to complete a Capture the Flag challenge, but you can't connect to a Capture the Flag game. Well, too damn bad. Pay for a swap. And if that swap is even worse, pay for another swap until you get one you want. And if you can't do that, well, you're just going to have to miss out on that weekly reward because 343 does not care. You're going to give them $2 for every swap, or you're going to have to skip school and quit your job to have enough time to get this ultimate reward. So that's just garbage right there. It is horrible how that system works, and I don't think I've met anyone that actually likes it. And sure, there's a lot of people switching over from Call of Duty and Fortnite that are saying, get over it, just get better at the game. And it's just simply a just gross misunderstanding of how that mechanic affects your progression. And first of all, you're from Fortnite and Call of Duty, so shut up, nobody cares. Not to mention, there's almost 0 incentive to perform well at all. In almost every objective-based game, everyone's searching for a specific weapon. They're trying to get their challenges for the heat wave done or for the different guns done. They're not playing the objectives at all, And even though I was performing really, really well, I wasn't completing challenges because I wasn't doing what they were doing and trying to find the specific criteria to tick that check in the box and, get onto my next challenge. So I wasn't progressing even though I was doing really well in these games. And there was no fun to playing that. It was why have fun playing in the game when you're not unlocking anything, and that these people that are just paying out money and just ruining your gameplay to get a skin are just going to get it, and you're just left in the dust. It's pointless, and it's frustrating to see this happen to Halo. There's ways to fix it. They could make it so the Battle Pass has alternatives, each different game type has an opportunity for its own challenges, and a certain number of challenges completed will unlock the weekly. But no, they want to keep it so you're forced to pay for swaps. They just want you to spend as much money as possible. And it's still broken even though they added those tweaks. And 343 thinks that if you give us a free visor from the first weekly ultimate reward, we're just going to forget about it. But no, sorry. It's that bad. The progression is frustrating, it's tedious, and it detracts from the entire experience overall. The customization and progression are that bad that all the good just is overshadowed by it. And for ranked either, it affects rank as well. Now ranked is just a cookie cutter esports style with a rating system similar to CSGO and Rocket League, etc. They're making Halo a cookie cutter competitive title. That's not what Halo was, but that's what they want to do because it's the easiest way for them to make money. It's just lazy and it's unfun. Not to mention, if you play a lot of ranked, again, you're not going to progress in the Battle Pass because you're playing ranked. You're not playing the game types that are going to give you the biggest variety to complete these challenges. So forget about that. If you like playing ranked a lot, it's just not worth your while if you're paying for the Battle Pass. The ranked player base, which I was a huge part of, is going to be affected by these penny pinching business models and greed because there's no incentive to play ranked anymore. You're just not going to see these lobbies filled up as fast. And if they are, it's only with the most die-hard people, which is, for another reason, can be toxic in its own right. So, let's look at some of the gameplay of me playing for the final points. All in all, Halo Infinite is really, really fun. It's amazingly fun, in fact. And it's really refreshing to see 343 do something right for once. It feels like Halo, and I do really mean that in the best way. It is a beautiful looking game. The customization sucks and annoying, so it really makes it a pain in the ass. Like, I really like the way this armor looks, but I can't customize it, so it's just kind of balances itself out. You know, they cancel. The new guns are great, but the series is missing some of the best guns, and the favorites that are still there are nerfed pretty badly, and it just is frustrating to see that as well. And it's clear that 343 really wants Halo to become this Call of Duty with futuristic skins and developed lore and player base that was already made for them by Bungie. It's like they're just capitalizing off of anything they can. It's going to be a soulless clone of Activision and Blizzard, and we all know how great they are. Who could have thought that following the footsteps of the company with the worst business ethics, countless lawsuits, and a horribly toxic environment for the developers would be a bad idea? Apparently not 343, because they just keep doing it. And although it's a fresh and familiar rendition to the IP that is Halo, even after all the praise and excitement the gameplay is getting, the progression and customization of Battle Pass systems are so broken and so tedious that it's just a jumbled mess of good and bad. And rather than doing what would be best for the fans and the future of the IP, and therefore 343 themselves, they would rather cling on to this microtransaction business style and squeezing every cent they can out of the fans. Which, you know, is insane, because conceding and modifying the system would be much easier for everybody, much better for everybody. They just don't want to do it. They don't want to admit they're wrong. It's almost like, you know, Rockstar and CD Projekt Red and all the others that are doing really terrible things now, but they cannot admit when they do something that's, you know, less than likable. And, you know, the modified Battle Pass or no Battle Pass at all was very unlikely to happen. 343 doesn't care. I'll admit, you know, after 11 years, they finally made a really fun game. Like, it's fun to play. There's just not a lot of replay value, you know? They did too many crappy things, too many greedy things for the fun gameplay to actually really take the forefront. And personally for me, and what I've seen on social media, everyone else agrees with that sentiment, you know? They're seeing through the greed and the broken, you know, progression, and they're not really, you know, giving up. Like, you give 343 an inch, they're going to take a mile. So really tread lightly. If they say they're going to do something, they're going to do what's in their best interest. And when I say their best interest, the best interest of making as much money as possible, because they are playing fast and loose with this IP that they didn't even create. So they don't really feel responsible for Halo. They didn't put all the work into writing it and bringing it to, you know, the top and epitome of AAA gaming. So I really personally see it like they don't care. If they mess up, who cares? It's not something they have any emotional investment in. So until they prove me wrong, that's the way I'll feel. The greed is vastly outweighing the positives in the long term for Halo Infinite multiplayer. And until they make some really drastic changes, it's going to stay that way in my mind. Sure, I'm going to play it because I'm a fan of the franchise and Halo, but I am not going to be giving in. I'm not going to be giving them a ton of money for their swaps and things like that, and I hope a lot of you don't either, because they need to know that this kind of business practice, this like Orwellian, you know, ideology that you're just going to have a subscription-based everything from now on is insane. Like, you don't own anything anymore. Nothing is yours. You know, there's no real progression, you know. You get off work to play a game that feels like it's more work. It's a chore now. It's not just fun. It's not just something you look forward to. It's like, oh, shit. If I want to get what I want, I'm going to have to really, you know, put my nose to the grindstone, and not in a good way. So, I love Halo, and Halo Infinite is fun as hell so far. But I don't really recommend it to anybody that's a huge fan of the IP. You're going to be hugely disappointed by the customization, by the little tiny changes they made that were unnecessary. You're going to be disappointed by the progression. So, honestly, the frustration might be a little bit too much for you. And I'm giving them credit where it's due. It looks good, plays great, but come on, guys. Really? Throw us a bone. Like, as fans who have been giving you guys money for 20 damn years, and 11 years now for 343. They've now had the title longer than Bungie has, and people still are praying every day now that by some miracle 343 will get their head out of their ass and start, you know, taking themselves seriously. So I know it's pretty negative, but all the positives are in the other video I'm making, so make sure to watch that. Go look at the, you know, Halo Infinite, the good video, and tell me what you think in the comments, right? Tell me how I'm doing. Tell me if you like stuff like this, and let me know your opinions. You know, this is even though it's me giving a review, I do have a lot of experience with Halo. The past 20 years of my life I've been playing Halo, so I do have some credibility. And I want to know if you guys feel the same way. I want to start a discussion, and I want more people to talk about what 343 is doing, both good and bad, so we can hopefully make Halo healthy and thrive for years to come. So that's why I want to do this. I'm not trying to just tear apart 343, but I do want to hold them accountable. And please tell me what you guys think below. So thanks for watching this video. I know it was long. I know you guys might not think that I have the best view on things, but that's how I feel, and that's why I want you guys to let me know how you feel at the same time. So thanks for watching me. Thanks for supporting me with a like, a comment, and a subscribe, because I don't make money off of this. It's a lot of work to edit. I put a lot of time into doing this as well, and it just means so much more. So thanks. Keep watching in the future, and I'll see you next time.
This is the first Halo they've ever played.